Wait, we hate each other? The way I actually gasped when I read this, look. So, I'm sure that this quote has sent my fellow readers into a spiral. It's a quote from the book If You Could See the Sun, written by Anne Liang. It's a young adult fantasy book incorporating the romance genre. This book is really famous for its academic rivalry between the female lead and the male lead. To introduce this book to you guys, it's about a Chinese American girl called Alice that attends a prestigious international Beijing school. She could attend the school solely because of a 50% scholarship that is gifted to only one recipient. However, her parents could no longer afford to pay her education. As she struggles with her family's financial condition, she obtained strange new invisibility powers and monetized it by creating an app called Beijing Ghost. Through this app, she completed tasks in exchange for money, and as the task escalated to actual crime, she had to choose whether it was worth losing her conscience or worse, her life. To start off, this book is a young adult novel that blends elements of magical realism, social commentary, and coming-of-age narrative. As the main issue, the novel explores the theme of invisibility. Now, have you wondered how it feels like to be invisible? What would you do if you turn invisible one day? Alice's literal invisibility serves as a metaphor for her marginalized position within the student body. She is portrayed as a character who feels overlooked, undervalued, and often silenced due to her social class. The author effectively uses this device to further delve into broader societal issues of class, privilege, and the pressure to abide by norms. Furthermore, Anne Liang used juxtaposition to show a stark contrast in Alice's humble background and the luxurious lifestyles of her classmates, which highlights the inequalities in the society. This literary device that is often incorporated in Liang's writing raises questions about the impact of socioeconomic status on opportunities and self-worth. To further show the impact, she used Alice, who is struggling to accept herself and where she belongs in the society. Liang portrays her internal struggle in trying to find her authentic self instead of following expectations placed upon her. As Liang infused her writing with magical realism, it adds a layer of intrigue and complexity to the narrative. As Alice did tasks as assigned by her peers, she could observe the world around her with a unique perspective, revealing the vulnerabilities of her peers. Lastly, the character development is definitely a highlight, as Alice, with her internal problems and her struggles regarding her identity, makes her a relatable and complex protagonist who undergoes significant growth throughout the story. How she first came into a problem, her family's financial problems, and then her invisibility that can be predicted, making her miss her lessons, and lastly, her guilt conscience when committing actual crime. Her journey is marked by both triumphs and setbacks. However, while the supporting characters are not deeply explored, they contribute to the overall dynamic of the story. So, moving on, in my opinion, this book does have its pros and cons. I gotta admit that I'm a bit biased because the academic rivalry trope is my favorite. The slow burn and the burning hatred Alice has for Henry certainly made me scream. Although I felt like there could be more interaction, I do think that the little interaction they have is enough to build suspense and has overall made the reading experience more enjoyable, as readers would want to keep reading to know what's next. Furthermore, I felt like the romance is more of a sub-theme, as the book is mainly focusing on the invisibility theme, which in my opinion turns out really well. The downside is that I felt like it was too fast-paced. Alice started off picking up mundane spying jobs, then stealing midterm questions, then boom, kidnapping a classmate. She gets caught, and the parents did not press charges because her role in the kidnapping was smaller than they had expected. It doesn't seem really realistic, as I believe that no parents would ever think like that, as their child is technically harmed in the process. And just because she's an accomplice does not mean that she can get away with a bit of kidnapping. I felt like the author could end the conflict off with a more realistic solution instead of forcing a happy ending for Alice in which she is just free and can just run off and live her life like normal. I also felt like the academic rivalry is only one-sided, as Alice always have a one-sided beef with Henry. Meanwhile, Henry is just there chilling, just like replying to whatever Alice said in a cool way, like he doesn't really have this rivalry with Alice. So it just felt less what's the word, like less good. And I felt like the author could add more personality to Henry instead of mainly focusing on Alice's perspective about Henry. In conclusion, I think it's a fun read. I personally enjoy it, but I do think that the author can make it more realistic. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I recommend this book for young adults or beginners who have just got into reading, as it is a really light read. So that is all from me. Thank you for watching. Bye!